Hi everybody, this is Patty Ann, and I'm here today to give you another tutorial. This time it's on digitizing basic text using Floriani Total Control U. Now to do this today, I'm going to be using a web page that is fabulous. If you haven't been to this web page yet, you need to go. It's this one called Embroidery Gatherings. So it's embroiderygatherings.com. And there's a gal named Paula who is writing lots and lots of tutorials about learning to digitize with Floriani. And they're free. So the one we're going to use today is the one that's most recent, and Paula has granted us permission to make a video using her PDF tutorial. So I'm going to click on the tutorials just so I can show you where it is. It's the last one down at the bottom here that she's done. Oh wait, we need to go to basic tutorials, and then it's the last one at the bottom here, digitizing with the basic text tool. So you'll click on that and it'll open it to this page, which has the tutorial really all spelled out for you here. But I highly recommend that you go to the bottom of her page, scroll all the way down till you get here where it says download your free PDF copy of this tutorial. You click here and then you click again and it asks you for your email address and if you'd like to join, and then she sends you the link to get the free PDF. And I truly highly recommend it because she has fabulous tutorials, and I'm thankful that she's allowing us to use her tutorial today to include in our video lessons. So let's go back to tutorials, and we're going to start by using her PDF file and just kind of work through it. So her file that you will download will look like this, and she gives you some ideas or some encouragement as far as planning out your text and what you're going to do. But we're going to start here on the part that's about digitizing. So again, you can either follow along with her webpage, or I highly recommend you print these tutorials out and follow along with them. So opening Floriani, the first thing she asks us to do, of course, is to open a new page. And then she says to click on the text tool. So the text tool is up here. When you click on it, you'll notice that there's a flyout menu with different types of text tool, and if you hover over them, you get a little indication of what they are. We want to use just the regular horizontal or the regular text tool, so I click on it. And it doesn't seem like much has happened, but if you can see my cursor, you can see that there's a letter A attached to it, and that means I'm in the text tool mode. When I click on the workspace down here, it's going to automatically put in text using the last font that I've used. So let me click. It already always comes up with my text, and it always comes up with the last text that you use. The last one I happened to use was Sydney. So I can hover over here, and when my cursor turns into a hand, I can drag my text down. Of course, I can always make it fit to the screen, go to fit, and it makes it large. Right now, I don't have it in 3D view. I could come over and look at it in 3D or off. So let's see. The next thing that she's going to ask us to do is to add our own text over here. So to add our own text, we come into this box right here. You need to click and you need to delete or backspace and get rid of the text that was already there. I'm going to have mine say, actually, I think I will use the back arrow and see if I can undo that and leave it say my text, put my cursor to the end of that. I'm going to hit my enter key because I want to make another line of text, and I'm going to put the word Floriani. Floriani, yes. And notice it doesn't show up on my screen until I hit the word apply. You always have to hit the word apply. Okay, so now I have, whoops, the reason why that jumps size like that is I'm using the little wheel on my mouse, and I can do that. I'm going to go back to fit it to screen, or to fit. Okay, so there I have it. It says my text and Floriani. Now, some of the things that I can change over here right off the bat is I can change the height of my letters. So right now my letters are 20 millimeters tall. I can change it to anything I want. However, there are some limits to that, and the way you can find out the limits is this. If I come over here to the right of where the name of my text is, and I click on this little question mark here, it tells me I'm using the font named Sydney. It shows me what characters are available, and it also tells me important information here, and that is that the minimum height that I can make these letters is 6 millimeters, and the maximum height is 45 millimeters. So that's what Floriani recommends. So stay within those parameters and your text should turn out nicely. So let's go over here and see what I have for my height. I have 20. So that fits within the minimum and maximum, so I'm fine. Say, okay, I could change this to 10. Now I've changed the height. Nothing's happened yet until I click apply. And there it is. Let's double check again on here. 10 is okay. Remember, the minimum I can have is 6 millimeters, so I'm still okay. I'm going to hit the back arrow though and just go back to what I had it at. Okay, the next thing I can change right here is this is the spacing between the letters. If I add a positive number or just a regular number, say like the number 5, and apply, it's going to add more space in between the letters. So watch between the M and the Y. I'm going to change it back to 0. When I hit apply, watch what happens. Okay. Now, if I put a negative number in here, it'll make them even closer together. So let's say I put a -5 and apply. Okay, so you can see what happens with that. I'm going to change it back to the way it was to begin with at 0. Okay, the line spacing here, notice I have 2 lines of text. This is how much spacing there is between the lines. If I want to make that, and it's a percentage, if I want to make them closer together, I can change that to maybe 10 and apply it and see what happens. Okay, that moved it closer together. Maybe I just wanted 5. Let's see what happens. Okay, that's still okay. I don't remember what it was to begin with, but if I go back, the undo and undo twice, I'm at where I was to begin with. The width, I can change that. And again, that's a percentage. 85, let's say. It was at 100%. Let's make it at 85. So you can just see how you can change this one font itself. I could slant the font. See how the letters got slanted. Okay, so that's just with this one font. Remember, the most important thing is to apply after you do things, or what you do won't show up. Now, as I said, I have the font Sydney here. There are lots and lots of fonts that have already been digitized. And if you just scroll over them, you can get an idea of what they look like. Now, notice that there are some little letters to the left of some of these font names. Let's start at the top here and we'll see. The Academy Bean one is at the very top up here, has a BL to the left of it, which stands for block style. And you can see that's a block style letter. The next one has a 60 beside it. that means it's a tiny font and it's best done with a 60 weight thread. The next one, well, this one has an O, and the O means, well, when I click on that, it shows here in the style that it has more styles from which you can choose. Okay, if it doesn't have the O, it's like Andrew, there are no other defaults. Let's see what else. There's also the AP, which are applique letters. The SC are script. There's a 60 again. There's a few other. HW is handwriting. Handwriting HW. So that's what those little symbols to the right mean, just to kind of help you figure out what you want to use. So let's see, we said you could adjust the height and the width and the line spacing and the width of the text. You can also, in this same area, adjust the alignment. So right now, my two lines are centered with each other. Oops. If I click this arrow, down arrow, I can make them align to the left side. And oh, hit apply. Okay, it also changed my font because I had changed it here. I wish I hadn't. I like that other. What did, oh, Sydney, okay. So now I can change it to apply, to left, apply. And now my text is aligned to the left. I can align it to the right. So the Floriani is going to pop over here, all going to be aligned on the right side. Or I can go back to the center and apply. So that's aligning several lines of text. There's also, if you look up here, let me hit this to fit again. Up here, there's something called text extra. Now, if you notice the sequence for sewing, it says left. That means when I sew this out, it's going to start on the left-hand side and then go back to the left and go on. Okay. The other thing that I could do, now I need to select this again. So I have my select tool. Got to make sure I've got it all in here. Okay. Then the other text extra is I could make the sewing sequence be from the right to the left or start in the center and stitch out. I can change the trim type, the lock type, but that's beyond this tutorial for right now. The other thing that I can do is I can change the fill. Right now it's a standard satin. I could change it to basket. Hit apply. And you can just barely see that it's changed something here. Kind of need to stitch it out to have it, to be able to see that really well. But I can change it to this pattern. Watch carefully when I click apply, and you can see it change. I could also change the stitch length, and I could change the density here. Again, applying. The other thing that I can change is the underlay. Now this is what it automatically came up with, and I usually leave it like that because I'm just learning. Probably the more I learn, perhaps I want to change that, but for now, I just leave it the way it comes up. The same for the push and the pull. Now the the transform tool, I do use that some. So I can change the whole width or the whole height, and I can maintain the aspect ratio or not. So if I change this to 50 for the width of the whole section, And do not say maintain aspect ratio. That's going to kind of distort it. Let's see what happens. It didn't do too much there. Let's go back and see. Transform 50. Let's make it 20. Okay, there it kind of there you can see the distortion I'm talking about. So usually when you do this kind of thing, you do like to have the maintain aspect ratio on, because if I now change this to 20, it shouldn't turn out all weird. It's just small. But it hasn't been really distorted. Okay, the last part I'm going to go over today is the editing of the control points. Now notice right now you can't see any control points here, even though I have this selected. I have it all selected. In order to see the text control points, I have to have the text button, the text highlighted. And did you see what happened when I did that? All these little points came up. Now I can see right off the bat a good use for this triangle or diamond shape um, little icon here. When I hold this diamond shape and I move it to the right, it moves everything to the right of it over. So watch, because I'm going to do that because I don't like how these two are touching. So if I just put my cursor over that until it turns into crosshairs, hold my mouse key down and move it over, you can see how everything to the right of it is being moved over. There you go. Maybe I want to move, let's see, perhaps I'd like to use, no, let's say that I want to move this T over a little closer to the X. To do that, to just move one letter, you get the little square orange thing and you move it. That just moves one. So let me undo and undo, undo, undo. There we go. I was trying to get back to where the two letters are touching. So what I could have done, instead of using this blue diamond and moving everything over, I could have simply taken the E and moved it over. Again, to get the E by itself, I'm mousing over, hovering over the little orange square, and I can move that letter E all by itself. That was too far, so let me use my back arrow. But again, since I don't want these two touching, and maybe I like the spacing between these other ones, I can take the letter T and simply move it over. Okay. And maybe I want to move this T just a little closer. Whoops, I didn't have that one by itself. There. Maybe, oh, that looks good. Okay, so that's about it for this tutorial. The next thing I need to do is I need to come up here to File and Save As. And I'm saving these things in a file called Floriani Test. I'll call it text tutorial. And I'm going to save it first as a WAV file. Save. And then I'll come back in here, File, Save As. And it still says text tutorial, but this time I'm not going to save it as a WAV file. I'm going to save it as a PES because that's the kind of machine I have, a Baby Lock Brother machine. I have a brother. If I had a Genome, I could save it as the Jeff. And you can just look on here and see which file format you need to use. But right here, I would save it as the PES. and save. And that's it. That's all there is to this tutorial. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll be back again soon. Again, thanks to Paula. Be sure to check out her website, embroiderygatherings.com. There's lots and lots of good information there. Bye-bye.